What's going on, you guys? How's everybody doing today? Good morning. Good evening. I said, what is that title? We'll get into it. It's the last part of the show, okay? It's about the white migrants that Trump is prioritizing. Yeah. A funny title. Welcome in, you guys. Busting your ass in Big Daddy Bezos sweatshop. Hey, a check's a check as long as it's a means to an end and you're not stuck there forever. Yeah. Guys, jobs are jobs. Look, use it as a stepping stone to something good. You know, not every job is actually going to be fun or mentally stimulating or whatever. It is what it is. I had my fair share of horrendous jobs, soul-crushing jobs. And the only hope I held out was essentially for something better, hoping, but actively working towards something better. Excuse me. That's all you can do. Yeah. So, you left a comment on the self-describing loser video on your shroom comment. Not sure what you're referencing, but okay. All right. Let me take another sip of tea, dude, and then we'll get started. A lot to cover today. Didn't get to stream yesterday because I had a massive splitting headache. I didn't even get much sleep, actually. I woke up at I was awake until like 3 in the morning. Then I had to wake up at 8:30. And yeah, I'm kind of running on fumes. I tried to take a nap. Didn't work. You know how it is. You try to nap midday, but you can't. Dr. Umar does not approve of snow bunnies. All right. Well, sucks for him. I think he goes by the concept of the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. To each his own. To each his own. Yeah. Crypto market is down a lot, still going down. Oh, yeah. Wonder how much longer we have until we get a nice little crash. But all right, yeah, like I said, the crypto market, the government. So it's frustrating because the government is interfering. Yeah, we kind of have a clown show. I guess we have to talk about the shutdown because that's what's causing, I would say, part of the jitteriness in the market. Originally, I was against it because, you know, it's a fucking distraction or it's an outright sign of the exact government dysfunction that's scaring off the markets. But I'm actually starting to change my mind because when you actually look into it, the craziest part of this thing is Schumer, dude. Chuck Schumer's keeping 800,000 workers from getting paid. Military families not getting their checks, or at least getting their checks delayed. And then you have a mysterious billionaire, I'll go with Musk, most likely, who stepped in to make sure that they're still getting paid on time. And that was to the tune, if this number is correct, $10 billion a month. So, and the Dems timed this whole thing to line up with some protest. I believe it's tomorrow, the No Kings protest or No Kings March, whatever the fuck. essentially so they can have like a maximum theater for all the shenanigans they're doing with all these paid, what would you call them, activists that hit the streets. Yeah. So that's not governing. That's a clown show. Anyways, we're on. So this is the 17th today. Now makes it 17 days of the shutdown. And based on what I found, essentially the Democrats won't pass the clean funding bill or any clean funding bill because they want $200 billion to restore healthcare benefits to DACA recipients. I'm not even joking. We're talking asylum seekers, people with temporary protected status. These aren't citizens, you guys. These are just people who are here illegally or in some gray area status. So the House did pass a clean CR on September 19th. There's just 24 pages, basic funding through November, no attachments, the same kind of shit Democrats supported 13 times prior. And Senate rejected it 8 times. 8 fucking times. Because they want their money for illegals. And apparently, right, they're deliberately dragging this out until the No Kings March thing happens, which is massive anti-Trump protest organized by Indivisible and the usual progressive shitheads. So, when millions of these brain-dead activists hit the streets, they can point, at the shutdown and scream about fascism while it's actually the Democrats refusing to fund anything. So, or I should say, refusing to fund anything until they get healthcare money for people that shouldn't even be here. It's a joke. And, Trump cut these benefits earlier this year with the big, beautiful bill. So he saved about, I think the number was quoted, $175 billion by saying that if you're not American, you don't get taxpayer funded healthcare, which makes perfect sense, But Democrats are saying that that's cruel, that we need to restore it all, and they're willing to shut down the entire government to get it. Okay, great, dude. And polling so far has it like 65% of Americans are blaming Democrats. So it's not, optically, it's not good. And those numbers are climbing every day because, what people see is the government shut down, the workers are suffering, the military is stressed, all because Democrats are holding everything hostage for illegals. So backfiring, we'll say that. And here's where it gets interesting because Trump's not panicking like Republicans usually do. He's using the shutdown permanently to shrink the federal government. So the day after it started, he announced, I think, over 4,000, something like that, permanent layoffs across a bunch of departments. And these aren't furloughs. They're permanent termination. So they're called reduction in force. So that means they're not coming back. This isn't like once government reopens, you get your job back. It's a wrap. So DEI initiatives, they got slashed. EPA climate grants are cut. Bloated special education programs, all that shit eliminated. And if this continues, the projections are 750,000 projections of furloughed people. That's crazy. Tens of thousands. They were permanently fired. So past shutdowns, the people got to go home essentially, come back later with back pay. It's basically a paid vacation for them. This time, Trump's firing them. So the positions are eliminated. They're not coming back, right? This is such a fucking steal for Republicans. I don't understand how Democrats could have gotten cornered like this. It's insane. Well, apparently, they went into this thinking that they would be pretty much like every other shutdown. So Republicans would panic after a week or two because of the political pressure. They'd cut a deal, give Democrats what they wanted, right? And then the government reopens. Everybody just goes home. Done, right? But that's not what's happening now. So instead of Trump using the shutdown to do what he's wanted to do since day one, essentially, he's going to actually get to massively shrink the federal government. That's so cool. And all it takes is the government being shut down. So every day this shit is continuing, guys. He's identifying more programs. They got a whole list of shit that they're trying to cut. So more people to fire, more money to save, right? And the longer this goes, the more permanent these changes are. Permanent. There's no walking this shit back. He's making Democrats defend spending hundreds of billions on healthcare for illegal American workers without paychecks. That's crazy. Optically, it cannot get any worse than this. So the Democrats' leverage is disappearing right before their eyes. Originally, they could look at all these people suffering. You could look at all the services disrupted, right? But Trump's saying, oh, that's cool, dude. Fine. We'll stay shut. We'll cut costs. And by the way, most Americans think you're causing this because you're demanding money for people who shouldn't even be here. And you're timing it to your fucking protest. Good luck with that one. So who has the leverage here when you think about this? And look, this connects to a bigger pattern with Democrats, by the way. They always hold essential services hostage for pet projects. So it's never about what Americans need. It's always about expanding benefits to non-Americans, funding the fucking woke garbage, protecting illegal immigration, all of that shit. Remember Trump's first term? They shut the government down trying to get DACA protection. They had the same playbook. Hold paychecks hostage, blame Republicans, demand amnesty. I mean, the media runs fucking cover every time. The propaganda merchants at CNN were crying about workers while burying that Democrats were refusing to, to match the clean funding that Republicans wanted. Like that, I don't know how they think they can get away with this. Nobody watches CNN anymore. The mind control is just it's not as effective as it used to be. And the media coverage, if we're talking about the media coverage, it's such a joke, dude. They act like these shutdowns are unprecedented crisis on America. You know, every time Republicans are in charge, this is what happens. But when Republicans did it with Obama in 2013 over Obamacare, the same outlets were literally praising him on standing firm on principles. You guys remember that shit? When the Democrats were holding out, it's brave leadership. When it's Republicans, it's like hostage-taking terrorism. The double standard is so blatant, it's almost funny. Except it's not funny because millions of people actually believe this shit. That's the problem here. Anyways, this time it's actually backfiring on them because Trump's not fucking folding this time. So Social Security, Medicare, military pay, technically protected, even with the delays because, okay, then you have, what else could you name actually in this? Border security, air traffic control, stuff that people actually care about. They figured out a way to keep that funded. What's getting cut is garbage that nobody needs and nobody asks for. Climate grants at the EPA, fuck off. I mean, these are like liberal pet projects that most Americans, seriously, they don't give a shit about. DI programs, everybody's sick of that woke bullshit. Federal fucking parasites who spend their days pushing progressive policies instead of doing actual work. Get them out of here. The base is loving this. Okay? Winning. This is literally, they literally say what we voted for. They're winning. And conservative media is framing Trump as like promises made, promises kept. So permanently closing Democrat programs. Check. And then you had Speaker Johnson. He said 2 days ago or 3 days ago that this could exceed 35 days, right? I think 2019 was about that. So this would make it the longest shutdown potentially if they're going to stall like this. So every day Dems refuse to pass a clean bill, they're admitting they care more about illegal migrants. That's how this is getting sold. They're so screwed on this one. Big mistake. Chuck Schumer, he walked into a minefield. But here's what pisses me off about the timing of this stupid march, right? When you really dig into it, Schumer is scared shitless of his own base. If he caves before the 18th, AOC and the radicals will fucking crucify his ass, right? They'll say he capitulated and they'll threaten to primary him. So he's keeping government shut to appease activists for the fucking march, right? And the workers in the government are the ones that are paying the price for his political calculations. That's crazy, you guys. You can never appease the radicals. It's the snake eating its own tail. And Schumer knows the shutdown kills them in polling, but he's more afraid of the base than the voters. So he doubles down on this insane demand for illegal immigrant healthcare while Trump systematically dismantles the administrative state. Fucking hell, what an L you just took there. And what are the Democrats actually demanding? Well, when you look at Schumer's bill, it repeals the big, beautiful bill cuts. And it restores full eligibility for these groups to get subsidized healthcare through Obamacare and Medicaid. So official cost is around $200 billion over 10 years, but conservatives are pointing out that these are all loopholes and they're funneling way more money. You have emergency Medicaid costs, that's like 7 billion a year, and a lot of that goes to undocumented, and they just show up at hospitals. So, they have state programs that extend beyond the federal minimums. Indirect cost that makes the subsidies available to people in questionable immigration status, which incentivizes more illegal immigration, by the way, because if you're telling people that you can get here and claim asylum, you get free healthcare, what do you think that means? I mean, why wouldn't millions of people come here? Think about that. So the fact-checking grifters at PolitiFact, NPR, AP, all that shit, they rate the Republican claims about funding illegals as false, right? We probably seen this on CNN or whatever too. They say that undocumented remain ineligible. This is just legal migrants and protected categories. That's complete bullshit though. DACA recipients are here illegally. They're just protected from deportation, for example. Asylum seekers that are claiming asylum, but most of them don't actually qualify when their cases get heard. And then you have TPS holders on temporary status, right? That's extended forever in perpetuity practically. So calling these legal immigrants is word games. They're hiding funding, right? Think about that. For people who shouldn't be here, no less. Okay. So when protesters hit the streets tomorrow in their stupid march, screaming about Trump being a king and an autocrat and all this shit, what's the Republican response going to be? It's your Democratic leaders keeping the government shut. They're the ones refusing a clean funding bill 8 times, and they're using you guys on the streets as props while the workers are suffering. The message lands because polling fucking says it does. The protest might actually backfire on them. I mean, instead of pressure on Republicans, it highlights Democratic obstruction. Think about that. It'll show that millions are demanding things that most Americans don't support. Insane. And it gives Trump perfect foil. This is who we're fighting. People who put illegals ahead of citizens. The messaging couldn't be more perfect right now. So the CBO estimates that apparently with the shutdown, we could be losing something like $15 billion worth of GDP per week. You got upwards of 800,000 people, like I said, that may not get paid. The military is stressed, but their checks are still coming through, probably because of Musk. FAA furloughing, 11,000 could cause flight delays. The parks will get closed. Research will stall. That's all true and shit. But long term, if this goes past the 35 days, way past the March, then people start to realize that the government functions without these programs and employees. Think about that for a second. If the EPA is operating at like 10% and nothing catastrophic happens, maybe we didn't need that spending in the first place. If education runs on a skeleton crew and schools aren't collapsing, maybe a lot of these federal employees are doing useless shit. Ever thought about that? And the spending reforms that Trump's pushing could save up to $175 billion, if not more, if they implement it fully. These aren't furloughs costing any back pay whatsoever. I have to remind you that. So, dude, we have a $2.5 trillion deficit. That's real. And I'm one of the ones who cares about balancing the budget. I mean, all of us are. Because we have to stop this insane spending or the country's going bankrupt, dude. The dollar lost 10% of its value since the start of the year. Our wallets are getting raped. That's not a joke. Now, what happens if this goes past the March, for example? What if this is past 35 days? Well, the permanent cuts that Trump's making become institutionalized. You can't just bring back 75% of the EPA climate staff if they've been officially terminated and the positions got eliminated. You'd have to recreate those positions, which requires legislation. I mean, good luck getting that shit through a Republican House. It's just not going to happen. And another thing that happens, the political narrative shifts from crisis to new normal. People have like a goldfish memory. Right now, there's headlines every day. The people are focused on reading this shit. Democrats can point to disruption in the government and say, this chaos is Trump. He's an autocrat. That's why we're marching. But if it goes on longer, and essential services are still running, well, people just start, they forget, they adapt. The panic starts to fade. It becomes clear maybe we had more government than we fucking needed. So the march becomes a footnote. And then the latest shit happening in the mainstream media is just going to take away from the messaging. Plus, you have Trump completely reshaping the federal bureaucracy. He's not just cutting the positions. Remember that. He's firing hostile people to his agenda. So you're eliminating all these programs that work against America First priorities, the climate grants, the DEI training, all of that shit. If he has enough time with no congressional oversight, that's key, because of the shutdown, then the federal government that he's going to hand off to Trump, to Vance potentially, would look completely different than what he inherited. That's exciting to think about, actually. And there's precedent, like I said, for this working, because in 2018, 2019, the government already shut down for 35 days, and Republicans didn't suffer for it. You know, Trump's approval rating actually went up because the base saw him fighting for something, and he was standing up to Democrat obstructionism, right? And when he ended it, he declared a national emergency, and he got his funding anyway. So he won the battle. This time, he has even more leverage because he's not asking for new funding. He's just refusing to negotiate over Democratic add-ons for illegals, no less, that are also timing it for their protest. His position is clean. The optics look great, and using the shutdown to accomplish policy goals that his base is actually expecting. Chef's kiss on this one, right? Democrats come out looking like ass completely. There are risks, of course, if this shit goes on too long, right? And long enough that Social Security checks get delayed, if Medicare payments, stop, if our mysterious billionaire donor doesn't want to foot any more cash for the military, right? You get multiple missing paychecks back to back to back weeks. Maybe the equation then would change really quick, and then everybody turns on the government. But so far, the administration has been super careful about protecting those politically sensitive areas. So kudos to them. You give credit where credit is due. So as long as they do that, the position holds for the Republicans, I would say. The economic damage, though, that's real. Look, $15 billion per week in lost GDP, that shit adds up too, okay? You had probably delays infrastructure projects. You got reduced consumer spending from the unpaid workers. Market volatility, we were just talking about at the beginning of the stream. The stock market is probably going to take a shit on Monday. Crypto is taking a shit currently. I mean, for you guys, for me, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the afternoon. But for you guys, you're probably watching a shitty market right now, and it'll continue probably into the weekend. So I think I saw crypto dropped 2% just today alone. We have a problem if the credit agency gives us downgraded ratings, right? S&P and Fitch. That's something to look out for. They already said that they're looking closely at this. But yeah, Republicans betting the long-term fiscal reforms will actually come out ahead, and there'll be political wins for this. And then that should outweigh the short-term pain. I guess the voters seem to agree so far. It hasn't really damaged people on that personal level just yet, unless, like I said, they might go much further. We might see some problems. So still fascinating watching the left-wing media, right? Boomerville CNN and MSNBC, they're running constant stories about, suffering federal workers and families going to food banks, and kids are losing childcare because parents aren't getting paid. All that shit is designed to make Trump look fucking cruel and build momentum for the No Kings March. Get people angry. And this shit's not working. Not at all. Now, most Americans look at this and they see the Democrats refusing to pass a clean funding bill because they want to fund illegals. And they're desperately timing it to their protest to extract maximal political theater. So either Democrats crack before or after the march, or this becomes the longest shutdown and Trump restructures the government. Cool story. Nice. Either way, Republicans win because Dems overplay their hand. They're demanding money for illegals. Like, this is literally probably the worst messaging you could ever have. I mean, they're stuck defending that position while Americans are already starting to blame them. So, cool. Trump is eliminating positions permanently, what people don't need and don't want. And if he pulls this off and uses the shutdown to cut thousands of positions and save hundreds of billions, right, changes the game for every future budget fight. completely. Democrats can't threaten shutdowns anymore because Republicans just say, fine, dude, we'll shut it and we're going to cut even more waste. This can't be a tool. The leverage disappears. That's probably why the GOP, the establishment GOP, is nervous too. They also like shutdowns as a scary thing, forcing compromise. So Trump's side of the Republicans will ride this out and shrink the government. Cool. They're happy with it. So now there's suddenly no reason to ever negotiate with Democrats on spending. Anyways, that's I would say that's a fundamental shift on how DC works. This only happens if Trump doesn't blink. And, every month, if this goes on for multiple months, it'll be interesting to see. But, I would imagine that Democrats would then be put in an impossible situation, which they could not crawl back from when those paychecks stop for a lot of people, especially seeing that Trump's doing everything he can to get people paid. So it's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. Yeah. Anyways, quick break, a little coffee. Or tea, I should say. I'm trying to give up. Palantir Smart City. Someone said, I don't know what a snow bunny is either. White women, dude. It's the name that are given to white women. Snow bunny is pure awesomeness. You have snow bunnies, jungle bunnies, desert bunnies, whatever bunnies. There's a bunch of bunnies. We'll talk about jungle bunnies. No, I'm just kidding. We'll leave the snow bunnies for the end. Yeah. Snow bunnies to jungle bunnies. Someone says snow bunnies to jungle bunnies. Why? Well, I was just referencing what's going on with Maduro, essentially, because that one's so interesting. So Maduro, this is like the second story that I want to talk. So Maduro just offered Trump basically all of Venezuela's like oil, gold, minerals, all of it in exchange for essentially backing off. And what's funny is Trump told him to go fuck himself. Which honestly is probably the most interesting part of this entire situation because it tells you what Trump's actually trying to do down there in Venezuela. By the way, they have the largest proven reserves of oil. Remember that, by the way. So let me back it up then. If you haven't been paying attention, the latest developments there. So we've got U.S. warships in the Caribbean right now. We got 3 guided missile destroyers, 4,000 Marines, F-35 stationed in Puerto Rico, submarines. I've got the whole package, dude. 10% of our naval power. That's what they estimate is just parked off Venezuela's coast. Trump's been authorizing strikes on those boats. They say are carrying drugs. Right, he's killed over a dozen people in September alone. Doubled the bounty on Maduro to 50 million. And he confirmed that the CIA is running covert ops inside of Venezuela. So that's a new development. Now, the official story is that this is stopping narco terrorism. Right. So going after the cartels, right? Stopping fentanyl from killing Americans. And there's truth to that. There is truth to that. Venezuela under Maduro has become a narco state. That's true. It's called the Cartel of the Suns. Literally what they named it. Maduro himself is under U.S. indictment for drug trafficking. These boats were blowing up. Boats that are carrying actual narcotics, if you believe the reports. Those would always end up in American streets killing our people. That's one way to frame this, correct? But when you get this offer from Maduro, through intermediaries, no less, that tells Trump he can have a dominant stake in Venezuela's oil reserves, freedom, You know, like when you hear that, you can have a dominant stake in our oil reserves, largest proven oil reserves. You could just hear that funny meme with the bald eagle shooting like two M16s and the eagle sounds. That's like that was going through my head when I was reading the headline. So they have 300 billion, over 300 billion barrels, plus a ton of gold, dude, and a ton of critical minerals. There's one called coltan. I thought first it was a misspelling, but coltan is it's used in, I believe it was what, capacitors. So none of the shit we have today would work without capacitors. So that's why it has its critical designation. Anyways, we need all that shit for tech manufacturing. All Trump has to do is ease up pressure on Maduro, right? And Maduro said he'll cut ties with Russia and China, who've been investing heavily in the Venezuelan energy and infrastructure. Think about what that means. That's not just an offer, dude. That's Maduro admitting that he's completely fucked, that the pressure so far is working, and that he's desperate enough to give away his country's natural resources just to survive. And Trump said no. Eat a dick. Okay? And the New York Times was spinning this as Trump being reckless, risking more for no reason, right? When there was a diplomatic solution right there, you know, echoing the whole imperial aggression narrative that Maduro's pushing at the UN earlier. But that completely misses the point, because accepting that deal would mean doing business with a narco dictator who's murdered his own people, stolen elections, turned his country into a fucking failed state that's exported millions of refugees and gang members to our borders in America. So if you take that deal, you're legitimizing Maduro, right? You're saying that, yeah, you know, we can work with you as long as we get our cut. That's exactly the same kind of establishment bullshit that Trump ran against, right? That's the deal that Bush would have taken, that Obama would have taken. Actually, every fucking neocon warmonger would jump at, because they only care about resources and fucking corporate access. They don't actually care to fix the underlying problem. You know, we're going to bring freedom. Look how many countries we brought freedom to. And that shit backfired on us. And the part that I have a real problem with, because Trump campaigned on no new wars. That was the promise. No endless conflicts. No regime change operations. No sending American troops to die in some shithole that has nothing to do with us. He was supposed to be the guy who brings troops home, who negotiates instead of fucking invading, right? Who puts America first instead of playing world police for the military industrial complex. But what he's doing in Venezuela is gunboat diplomacy. We're applying military pressure to force regime change. And I get the logic, okay, totally. This isn't about nation building, or we're not trying to spread democracy, or, you know, any of that neocon shit. Okay, I get it. It's just eliminating a direct threat to American security and society. So Maduro's regime has been flooding our country with fucking drugs, with gang members. We've heard the news reports on Tren de Aragua. They've spread all over American cities. They're committing violent crimes. The fentanyl that's coming in through Latin America and the supply chains are killing well over 100,000 Americans per year. Okay, so applying pressure makes sense. I get it, totally. Blowing up cartel boats in international waters, which I've said is legally iffy. Don't know about that one. Plus running CIA ops to disrupt the networks, right? We're putting economic sanctions on the regime. We're doubling bounties, all that shit. All that is fine. Okay, great. We'll accept that at surface value. Cool. Okay. I would call that using American power to protect American interests without getting into another fucking quagmire as a good idea. But here's where shit can hit the fan and get really out of control. Apparently, Maduro mobilized 4.5 million fucking militia members. That's a lot of bodies. He's threatening a bloody response, whatever the fuck that means. Venezuela has alliances with Russia and China, who could really well complicate shit if it gets hot. Okay, we got 4,000 Marines, remember that, sitting off the coast. The CIA operatives running inside the country doing God knows what. And Trump's talking about potential land strikes now. because the sea operations are under control, but the land-based cartel activities need attention. Okay, so ops are expanding. That's how it starts, you guys. That's how it always fucking starts. You deploy forces for a limited mission. You do some surgical strikes, targeted operations, then something goes wrong. American troops get killed. The mission expands. Have you heard this story before? Suddenly, you need more forces to protect the forces you already sent. And before you know it, you're in a full-scale conflict that nobody wanted, but everybody is stuck with. We've seen this movie before. Afghanistan started as a limited operation to get bin Laden and turned into 20 years of occupation. Iraq was supposed to be a quick in and out. We're getting the WMDs. The war criminal shitheads, fucking Bush and Cheney, sold us mushroom clouds and imminent threats, and it became a $1 trillion disaster that killed thousands of Americans. And it accomplished absolutely fucking nothing, except it destabilized the entire region. So, Iraq, another one, right? Same playbook. Bush and the neocon piece of shit Bolton and all the fucking vultures there at Project for a New American Century, they wanted regime change in Iraq for years. They had the plans drawn up well before 9/11 even happened. And they used the terror attacks as an excuse to invade a country that had nothing to do with 9/11. Fucking strange. And we're still doing business with Saudi Arabia. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? They told us it'd be easy. We'd be greeted as liberators. Yeah, we're freeing them. The Iraqi oil would pay for the reconstruction, right? The democracy would flourish once we got rid of Saddam. All lies. This is bullshit. Complete bullshit. We ended up with 1 million Iraqis dead. We lost like close to 5,000 American soldiers. We spent $2 fucking trillion. And for what, dude? Iraq is still a fucking mess. Iran has more influence there than we do. And then ISIS rose up out of that chaos that we created. Remember that ISIS? They're still operating in like parts of Africa, I think. So this whole thing was a catastrophic failure from start to finish. Libya was the same shit. Hillary and the neocons. They said we're just going to do some airstrikes to prevent a humanitarian crisis. Don't worry about it. We're going to protect civilians for Gaddafi. Quick and clean. In and out. Where have we heard that again? Right? Now Libya is a fucking failed state run by militias, and they have open air slave markets. What's our humanitarian intervention accomplished in any of these stories? Fucking nothing. So that's why I'm watching Trump now, who promised no new wars, who criticized Bush and Obama for exactly this same kind of shit, who said that we need to stop being the world's policeman, setting up the same exact playbook in Venezuela now. Why? Why? It makes no sense. And then in Venezuela, Maria Machado, this is the actual winner of the election in Venezuela that Maduro stole. She just won the Nobel Peace Prize and dedicated it to Trump. This dude has been thirsty for a Nobel. What the fuck? Dude, the glazing. So she got recognized by the US as the legitimate leader, fine, okay, which is basically us saying Maduro has no legitimacy and that we're going to support whoever we can to replace his ass. That's regime change language. That's not, we're just stopping some drug boats. No, not anymore. We're going to overthrow your fucking government and install someone who we like. Are you fucking kidding me? Boy, oh boy. I read somewhere, no matter who you vote for, you get John McCain. It's starting to be true. Nothing ever happens and you get John McCain. Yeah. And yeah, look, I'm not saying, I was reading in chat, I'm not saying that this dude doesn't deserve this shit, by the way. The guy's a fucking narco dictator. He destroyed his own country. He stole elections. He tortured dissidents. But deserving it and us being the ones to do it, that's two different fucking things. We're not the world police, okay? We do not have unlimited money and unlimited troops to go fix every shithole dictatorship on this planet, especially when we got our own problems back home. I'm over it, dude. How many more videos do I have to see of Philadelphia and God knows what other fucking city in America with people doing the zombie walk? Okay. So the Senate, and this has been bipartisan from what I saw, is trying to pass resolutions to block Trump from unauthorized military action. And for once, I think I actually agree with them on that aspect. Not because I give a shit about international law or diplomatic norms or any of the globalist bullshit, but because Trump made a promise to his base that he would not start new wars. If this escalates into a full fucking conflict with Venezuela, then that's exactly what he's doing. So, yeah. Someone said, is putting the elected leaders in office regime change? If you do it with force, obviously. And are they going to celebrate us as liberators? I don't know. Well, here's the thing: if Trump can keep this limited, if it stays at the level of just pressure and targeted strikes, and okay, even include the CIA ops inside the countries to disrupt the cartels without turning it into some form of like an occupation, then fine, dude. Okay. That's using American power smartly. That's protecting our interests without getting sucked into nation building and forever wars again. But I don't trust that it'll stay limited. I mean, how could we trust that? Think about this. The CIA authorization is where this shit goes off the fucking rails. Covert ops inside Venezuela disrupting cartels, that could mean anything, right? Is it simple intelligence gathering? Is it full-on sabotage or targeted assassinations? Arming opposition groups? That could mean whatever. That's all the shit that the CIA has fucked up repeatedly in Latin America for decades. Do you guys remember the Bay of Pigs? That was a CIA op. And that turned into a fucking disaster. Iran-Contra was a CIA selling... Dude, we were selling weapons to fund rebels. And it became a massive scandal. Every regime change that the CIA has touched in Latin America blew up in our fucking face. Literally, it's called blowback. They have a word for that shit. It created more problems than it solved. So when Trump says that he's authorized them to go in and handle the cartels and, we're supposed to sit back and trust that this time it'll be different. How? That this time the incompetent spooks will stay within bounds and not create another clusterfuck? Historically, it doesn't look good. Go fuck yourself. We're not just going to trust you to fix this shit because we haven't trusted you in the past to do things correctly. And look, I get why Trump's doing this. The alternative is you have to accept Venezuela is going to be a fucking failed narco state on our doorstep forever, totally, right? Exporting drugs nonstop and fucking refugees and gang members and whoever else and just dealing with the consequences domestically. Yes, I understand. At some point, either you accept, right, the problem or you use force to stamp it out for good. Okay, I understand the logic. But the whole point of the foreign policy was supposed to stop trying to fix other countries' problems, America first, right? Or at least stop trying to fix other countries' problems with our military. We spent trillions in the Middle East, and what do we have to show for it in the Middle East? Iraq is a mess. Afghanistan fell back to the Taliban, you guys, the second we fucking left. And we left them hundreds of billions of dollars in our armaments. They're flying our fucking helicopters. They're driving our Humvees. That was the worst pullout in history, all because that was Biden's fault. But still, we fought for how long there? And only for the Taliban to just come back and then get recognized and have to deal with them officially at like governing bodies internationally. You got the Taliban representatives and shit. That's a joke, dude. That's a spit in the face to every American that ever lost their lives or limbs or whatever else fighting there. Libya, failed state. Syria, divided between, I don't know how many dozens, right? Of fucking factions. How many are there? I think they have a winning faction, but every time we think we can use military power to reshape a country, it backfires spectacularly. That's all I'm saying. Trump negotiated the withdrawal, yes, but Biden was the one that pulled out willy-nilly without, handling things properly. So I'm just saying, why the fuck would Venezuela be different? If you overthrow Maduro, then what? Do you think the opposition just takes care of everything? Or I should say, takes over and everything works out? You don't think there's going to be competing factions? There's going to be some power struggle there? Maybe a potential civil war? You think Russia and China are just going to walk away from their investments without making trouble? Really? As if China and Russia, after all the money they've pumped in there, wouldn't then fund their own opposition groups that would try to do their own coups on the government. You have to think about this. This isn't just like, oh, we'll kill Maduro. Oh, game over. Fuck yeah, America first. Machado takes over. Great. No. Then it devolves into civil war. You think everybody is going to be happy Maduro's gone? He has his own supporters there. And they'll be armed to the teeth by China and Russia. Come on, dude. It would be a strategic mistake, especially with the war in Ukraine, especially with Israel not fucking backing down in the Middle East, and especially with China starting to flex its muscles and looking at Taiwan real close. You really want to get stuck in this quagmire in fucking Venezuela of all places? That's a distract. And exactly, we just gave Argentina $40 billion. We've doubled the bailout for Argentina. How is this America first? I don't understand. At first, it was the $20 billion bailout and then doubled. Yeah, exactly. So this is the neocon logic, right? This is the same shit Bush sold America on Iraq, right? That if we just get rid of dictators and democracy will flourish and everyone will fucking love us, dude. It's bullshit. It's always been bullshit. And Trump should know better. Seriously, he spent his entire first campaign shitting on exactly this kind of intervention, calling out the neocon warmongers who got us in these messes. And he promised his base that he would be different. That's all I'm saying. Refusing Maduro's resource offer makes sense if you're trying to force his regime to collapse internally. That I understand. If you take the deal, you're just buying a stake in the corruption. You're propping up a narco state in exchange for oil access. But refusing it means you're committed to regime change. And regime change, what does that require? Long military commitment or getting lucky somehow that the opposition can win without us getting dragged in there. So I want to believe that Trump can thread the needle and apply just enough pressure for the Maduro dictatorships to completely collapse. And without us ending into another forever war. But, you know, I've seen too many presidents already promise these so limited operations and they turn into unlimited disasters. You know, that's the sad part. If Trump breaks his no new wars promise, which he has already, if you consider bombing Iran, but this time to overthrow a South American dictatorship, that's a massive betrayal of the base. I don't know how MAGA is going to be able to like pin that award on themselves. Because we voted America first, not America global enforcer. Everyone voted no more endless wars, no surgical operations that metastasize into occupations. Everybody voted to drain the fucking swamp. It's not happening, right? Not to export freedom at gunpoint to anybody. While all these fucking neocon shitheads in DC are the ones that are actually getting rich off all these defense contracts. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, fine, blow up all the fucking boats you want, run intelligence ops, apply all this economic pressure, make Maduro's life hell. Go for it, dude. Double the bounty, triple it, 10x it. I don't give a fuck. Freeze his assets, sanction everyone in his regime. Cool. But the second this turns into troops on the ground or some sustained combat operation, then Trump will have become exactly what he campaigned against. And that's going to be a problem, especially during, let's just say, midterms, if not a problem for Vance, right? Because the people that backed Trump specifically backed him because he wasn't a neocon, like Bush, like fucking Cheney, Bolton, all these other blood-sucking parasites that sent our people to die for fucking corporate masters. Wait and see, I guess. That's all. That's all we can really do. I don't know. Let me sip some more tea and then we'll get into the snow bunnies. Finally, we have great news. The snow bunny avalanche is upon us. potentially. Ugh. No way, did it? Your Sweden video got posted on Reddit. Publicity. Where on Reddit did that get posted? Where did that get posted? Under what subreddit? Can you link me that? Can you email me that? tribeofmen@yahoo.com. Seriously, link me that. I want to see. Ask the world. Let me look this up and we'll get into the white migration. Reddit. Ask the world. Holy shit, it's the first one on there. Fuck, it got a 1.4 thousand comments, huh? 7 hours ago. What sub is this? I've never heard of this sub. There's a lot. There's a lot of far right propaganda about my country when it comes to immigration, where we are lost, where everyone is too scared to walk around at night because immigrants wait around the corner to shove a grenade down our throat. And my favorite, the falsification about our rape stats. It's not false, bro. I spent all day researching that shit. Your country is fucked. Every single statistic I cited there, I did a ton of research on. It's all online. You can find it on Google. You might need to use DuckDuckGo. I know you're in Sweden, bro, and they block all the information from you. You can't even find out what's actually happening. You guys are so brainwashed. But believe me, after that video went up, I got a ton of Swedish dudes messaging me talking about, thank you so much for finally talking about what's going on in Sweden. Says the government hasn't ordered any forced integration with immigrants. What has been suggested by one of the opposition parties who don't sit in government has been to start building high status buildings in the suburbs, which is where immigrants live. There's also been suggestions of building lower cost homes in richer. They're not suggestions. That's all it's been. He says suggestions. Okay, dude. Interesting comments here. They do the same shit with California as a state and Sweden as a country. Seriously, the dude's defending California. Anybody in this comment section knows California is a shithole. If the guy's literally trying to say that Americans are propagandizing the democratic shithole that California is, and then comparing Sweden and saying they're doing the same, we know Sweden is a shithole then. You can't walk around in Malmo. Don't even, bro, don't. You have female genital mutilations in the tens of thousands. You have grenade attacks, bombings, gang killings. Your police meet with gang members and have coffee and fucking muffins and talk about, it'd be nice if you don't fucking kill people and rape women. Would you like some coffee? Oh, and our women are wearing like it's almost like a swastika armband, but it just says, don't touch me, please. You're out of your fucking mind, dude. Oh my Lord. Wow. Dude, Swedes are so lost. What's going on, Buster? Listen, not all Swedes are lost. I should say, not all Swedes are lost. We need the snow bunnies. We need the Swedes that are hardcore right, conservative, and do not like their government. Bring them to America. That's a good segue into this next one. So Trump essentially, dude, this is great. This is great. Trump's refugee overhaul, if you haven't heard about it, starting to happen. So his administration is realizing, or I should say it's prioritizing the refugees who speak English, right? Who come from stable backgrounds, who actually have skills that they can use, right now. They share Western values, which in practice, if you remember months ago, would probably mean white South Africans. But he did mention Europeans who support populist policies, oppose mass migration in their own countries, and they're being targeted for it, right? And of course, it's causing the usual suspects to lose their fucking minds. They're screaming racism and white supremacy, just like you see in this Reddit post stuff we've been reading. But really what he's talking about is just basic common sense immigration policy that every successful country has practiced throughout history. Seriously. Essentially, the tards at New York Times is where I saw this. They ran a hit piece calling this an overhaul that would favor white people. Like it's some kind of gotcha or something. When the reality is, yes, yeah, we're prioritizing people who will actually integrate into American society versus taking in what? The millions of people from cultures that are completely incompatible with Western civilization who end up on welfare for generations and never assimilate. Makes sense, right? So if you're going to take in refugees at all, why the fuck wouldn't you prioritize the ones that are most likely to succeed and contribute? But apparently that's racist now, according to the actual leftist racists in the mainstream media. So like that word has completely lost any punch it's ever had. So I'll tell you why this actually matters. Because let's go back into what's happening in South Africa right now, specifically to white South Africans, which is a preview of what diversity and multiculturalism eventually leads to when you let it run its course. We're talking about systematic targeting of white farmers, land expropriation without compensation, and the murder rates are off the fucking charts over there. So the numbers are horrifying as shit. You have over 400 farm attacks a year in South Africa. White farmers, they're being murdered at rates 20 times the national average. We're not talking about quick deaths. We're talking torture, rape. Dude, entire families getting butchered, including kids. The kind of savagery that makes cartels look soft as fuck, tame. And since
was $9.99. I think the SCOTUS potentially knocking down race-based districts will have more impact than the shutdown because we can get the supermajority to not have to negotiate with the Dems anymore.
Yes, you're correct about that. We'll see what they actually rule. Everybody has been saying that's what we're leaning towards. And if so, oh boy, a lot is going to change in America when we get all those extra seats. Yeah. I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin for Dems ever going to have like a serious contention, probably for presidency too. Yeah. I mean, you can gridlock a Dem president now. You can do so much. So it seems like we're walking back a bunch of DEI. We're walking back a lot of race-based legislation that we had before. I think it's a good thing, dude. They're going to call them racist. They're going to call them white supremacists. This is, I don't know. How could you see this? This is literally what Democrats are fighting for, which is stop. You remember? Stop being racist. Stop judging people based on their skin color. Stop making everything about an ethnicity or, race, essentially. And it's like, okay, well, let's roll back all the race-based legislation that we have. Cool. Okay. And then they're like, no, you can't do that. That's racist. What do you mean, dude? We're trying to see everybody as equal. No? Think about it. So anyway, back to South Africa. They had thousands of fucking farm murders over the years. And white farmers specifically are being killed. Black farmers got killed too, but specifically like the targeting of the white farmers was the worst. And those are only the numbers. We only have those numbers, and they're hard to come by because the ANC government refuses to track the farm murders by race. So that's just what's made a stink in the media that people have been tracking. And what is the South African government doing about this, by the way? They're literally passing laws to take land without paying for it. They literally have in 2025, this is why Trump brought him in the White House, an expropriation act that lets them seize white, so I'm going to say that again, white-owned farms in public interest. This is clearly race-based legislation. And in terms of this public interest, without compensation, which is essentially legalized theft, targeting the people who actually know how to fucking farm and produce food. This is what's insane. Trump got this. This is why he called it genocide on live TV. He brought the president, Ramaphosa, into the Oval Office, showed him the kill the Boer chants in all those videos and memorials that were lined up on that highway with thousands of crosses that were representing murdered farmers. And he demanded accountability. And Ramaphosa just sat there, dude, and lied, saying that there's no targeting happening. It's all just general crime, completely full of shit. So Trump, essentially, cut U.S. aid to South Africa. He imposed sanctions, and he started accepting the Afrikaner refugees. Remember? We had a group of like 59 of them arrive in May, and some more came to Atlanta in June, and the conservative media was celebrating that shit. Finally, look at him. And they were showing them with American flags, and already we love America. And you know, everybody on the left, Jesus Christ, like, and this is so racist. Why are we helping white people? The left was literally screaming that we're prioritizing white refugees over black refugees from other African countries. Are you fucking kidding me? These people are facing actual genocide. Their land is being stolen, actually, by a corrupt Marxist government. They're being murdered in their homes, and we're supposed to ignore that because what? They're white? Go fuck yourself. Okay? And what's more insane is that the white farmers in South Africa produce 70% of the country's commercial agriculture. Dude, they're the ones who actually know how to farm. The ones who actually have some fucking skills and knowledge to run productive operations. And the ANC is driving them out. That's insane. They're taking their land and they're giving it to people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, which is exactly what happened in Zimbabwe. And I love the story of Zimbabwe. I've been reading about Zimbabwe, or I should say, the land that was once Rhodesia. Let's get into Zimbabwe. This is what happens essentially. I guess you could say, when you let this ideology run its course fully. This is the end game. So Zimbabwe used to be Rhodesia. And before the communists took over, it was the breadbasket of Africa, you guys. It exported food to the entire continent. It was one of the most successful, prosperous countries in the region. And it was run by a white minority government, which according to modern sensibilities is the ultimate sin. But you know, think about that. What was the reality? Well, it fucking worked. That's what the reality was. It was stable. It was productive. It was successful. It had a thriving economy. It had functioning institutions, everything you want. Then in the 60s and in the 70s, you had the Bush War. You should read up on the Bush War. It's amazing. So you had Marxist guerrillas backed by the Soviet Union and China, and they tried to overthrow the government. And where it gets really interesting is like from a military's perspective, because, you know, we're guys and we like the military. I was reading into this shit, like the kill-death ratios that the Rhodesian forces achieved were fucking, dude, craziest numbers ever. The Rhodesian Light Infantry, which was this elite white commando, so this unit achieved a kill-death ratio of 50 to 1. 50 to 1 in direct combat operations. That's insane. For 50 killed for every 1 lost. Think about that, dude. Unreal numbers. These guys were so well trained, dude, technically superior, so fucking good at what they did. They were killing guerrillas at ratios that dwarfed anything the United States managed to achieve in Vietnam, dude. It's crazy stat to read that stuff. The broader Rhodesian security forces, the ratios were something like 8 to 1. And peak intensity of the conflict was, I think I read, around 15 to 1. So they had something like 1,100 Rhodesian deaths versus over 10,000 guerrilla kills. And this was against an enemy that outnumbered them 10 to 1. And that was at the end of the war. And you can't forget that they're getting weapons and support from communist cocksuckers, the Soviet Union and China. So fuck the Soviet Union and China for that. And then You had and I always mispronounce this, Sulis. I don't know how they say this. Celis, Sulis. If somebody knows how to Sulis, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's scouts, Sulis scouts. We'll just say the scouts, okay? These guys were even more insane. Same. Another elite unit that used like guerrilla tactics, you could say. Their kill-death ratio was 189-1, dude. If you isolated their operations. 189 enemy kills per scout casualty. Holy shit. I've never read numbers that high. That's not a typo. You can look at it. It's spelled Celus, Celous, but I think it has a weird pronunciation. Celis. I don't know how to pronounce it. I know it's not Celis. So again, remember, 189-1. They're responsible for 70% or so of all the guerrilla kills inside Rhodesia. Insane. So we're talking like up to 7,000 guerrillas, and they only lost 36 casualties. So these were just demonstrations of what a small, well-trained, highly motivated force can achieve against like vastly superior numbers when they're fighting for their homeland. That's gonna trigger some people. Oh my God. Anyways, unfortunately, it didn't matter. Despite the incredible military successes, despite that Rhodesia was winning the war, and at least on the ground, the international community strangled them to death with sanctions and shit. So the UN imposed embargoes on them. Western countries refused to support them, essentially turned their backs on them, and eventually they were forced to accept, majority rule. So Robert Mugabe, everybody knows about him. He took over in 1980, and within 2 decades, dude, he turned the breadbasket of Africa into a basket case. He started seizing the white-owned farms, and I think he did this around the year 2000. He drove out the farmers who knew what they were doing, gave the land to his political cronies and war veterans who had no fucking idea how to farm, by the way, and the result was catastrophic. You can read, there's a funny meme that shows Mugabe, it's like all the headlines of they were taking white farmers' land, forcing white farmers out. Mugabe, then it showed like a few years later, starving to death. Yeah, famine, millions dead, some shit like that. Mugabe is now begging for white farmers to come back. It's a fucking shit show, dude. It's a fucking shit show. Imagine that you kicked out the white people only to have millions of your own starve to death. It's insane. Food production literally collapsed. Zimbabwe went from exporting food to importing food. From being the breadbasket to literally being dependent on foreign aid. Imagine the fuck up. The economy completely imploded. Hyperinflation hit 500 billion%. The currency became so fucking worthless. There's literally pictures of people that were carrying cash in wheelbarrows full of the cash to buy a loaf of bread. Unemployment hit 90%, dude. Millions fled the country. Should have stayed Rhodesia, shouldn't you? Yeah? And that's what happens when you drive out the people who actually know how to run things and replace it with ideology and racial grievances. Zimbabwe had GDP growth before the seizures too, by the way. And after Mugabe's land reforms, if you could even fucking call them that, the GDP got cut in half. And 45% of their population became malnourished. The country that used to feed Africa couldn't feed itself. What a fucking tragedy. And now South Africa is following the same exact trajectory. They're seizing white-owned farms. They're driving out the Afrikaners who produce the food. They're implementing policies based on racial revenge rather than economic reality. And anyone who studied history knows exactly where this is going to lead. This is why Trump's policy matters so much. We're not just talking about refugees. We're talking about securing some of the most skilled, productive farmers in the world before they get slaughtered or driven out. Think about this. People who would come to America and revitalize our agricultural sector, who could buy up the struggling farms in the Midwest and make them productive again. They would integrate seamlessly because they speak English. They share Western values. They have the skills that we desperately need. Compare that to what we've been doing for decades. We're taking hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of third worlders from countries that have no fucking concept of Western values, don't speak the language, end up on welfare, who never assimilate, who form parallel societies, and they reject American norms on top of that. The contrast, it couldn't be more stark. And it's not just South Africans, by the way, because Trump's policy also prioritizes Europeans who are being prosecuted for opposing the mass migrations in their countries, for supporting populist parties like Germany's AfD, right? Or speaking out online against the Islamification of Europe. Those people who are facing legal harassment, getting deplatformed, being socially ostracized for expressing views that used to be mainstream common sense shit like that. Now they're being offered refuge in America. This is good. Think about what this means. We could be importing the exact people that European governments are trying to silence, the dissidents, the truth tellers, the ones that see that mass migration and what it's doing to their country. These are the ones that oppose the globalist agenda. They want to preserve Western civilization. Think about this. These people would strengthen America. I'm making my case for them. They would vote for the populist conservative policies. These people would fight against the same woke bullshit that's destroying Europe, their homelands. That's why the left considers them a threat. And from an economic standpoint, it's a no-brainer, dude. Who doesn't want Afrikaner farmers who have the skills that are high demand, dude? American agriculture, we have 500,000 job openings, and we cannot fill them. The rural areas in America are dying and could use an infusion of skilled labor like that. People who actually want to farm, not doing it for profit. And from a cultural standpoint, these people, they integrate immediately, dude. They speak English. They're Christian. They share our values. There's no assimilation period needed. They just fit right in like a fucking puzzle. Think about that. So my only problem, if I were to nitpick with all of this shit, is Trump's only taking in, from what I read, 7,500 refugees total per year. 7,500. What the fuck even is that? That's down from Biden's number of 125,000, which is great in the sense of like we needed to slash those numbers, but 7,500? That's nowhere near enough for what we need to be doing. That's all I'm saying. This is such a fucking waste of an opportunity. If we're going to prioritize white South Africans and European populace, we should be taking in like 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year. We should be actively recruiting these people. Land deals in the Midwest, we should be giving them tax incentives to start farms. We should be making it as easy as possible for skilled, value-aligned people to come here while building the fucking wall and deporting millions of illegals. That sounds great to me. So instead, we're getting these pilot programs, 55 here, 59, whatever the number was, a few dozen there. This shit's moving at a fucking snail's pace while the people are literally getting murdered in South Africa and Europeans are getting arrested for fucking tweets. Trump needs to go way bigger on this shit, way faster. Imagine a world, imagine this, where we deport 20 million illegals. We're draining the system, but we import 20 million Europeans with skills. Okay? We would be so fucking back, dude. You get a snow bunny. You get a snow bunny. You get a snow bunny. That's what I titled this, Snow Bunnies. The boys would be elated. Passports not needed anymore. Let the bunnies come to you. Just saying. So I already know what the counter arguments would be. You know, the courts will block this shit. Congress won't fund it. Blah, 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 shit like that, right? The same defeatist rhino fucking messaging. The same bullshit we heard for decades. Trump can literally, he has an executive order. He controls the refugee policy. He could literally admit 100,000 Afrikaners, for example, tomorrow if he wanted to. And if the courts block it, you just fight the courts. And then you go around them, just like fucking Democrats do all the time. You make it happen anyway. Just saying, the first Trump admin, and let me just say this. If you brought these people over And then Dems were to get power. Do you think the Dems would start a mass deportation campaign against these people that have now settled here and are so productive? Hmm? You think they would cause a quote humanitarian crisis that they're pinning on Trump? Oh, so it's not a humanitarian crisis when they're white. It's sending them back home. But if they're brown or black, that's a humanitarian. You would start to see the double standard. So, yeah. Essentially, the Trump administration, well, he taught us, dude, the first time that when he wants something, he gets that shit done. Look at the wall, look at the travel bans. He fought every obstacle when he first ran. He eventually won, I think most of them. He should have the same energy for this shit because we're talking a potentially transformative moment for the country. Can you imagine 100,000 of these like skilled Afrikaners or just Europeans in general? Let's just say the Afrikaners are settling those rural areas, buying up the cheap land that nobody wants, making it productive again. Dude, farm life, farm work is not easy, or else everybody would be doing that shit. To make it productive again, to revitalize towns, small towns that got hollowed out by corporate consolidation and demographic collapse, that's a massive infusion. Can you imagine 50,000 European dissidents, for example, who've been fighting the woke agenda in their countries, and they're bringing that fight here, strengthening the populist conservative movement, because that's what we need. Voting in our elections. That's the kind of immigration policy that actually serves the American interests. That's what would strengthen this country rather than weaken it, right? Bring in the people that contribute, actually contribute, finally, rather than drain the resources. It's not even controversial by historical standards, by the way. Every single successful immigration period in American history prioritized people who could integrate, who had skills that shared our values. Literally, the 1920s immigration restrictions explicitly favored North Europeans over everybody else. And that wasn't considered scandalous until the 1960s, when the left decided that any kind of selection criteria was racist. So you had Ellis Island, they were doing health checks, and they turned a whole bunch of literacy tests, excuse me, and they turned people away who couldn't support themselves. They deported people who couldn't integrate. Dude, where's that policy? You know what I mean? So when you take that into consideration, what Trump's actually doing is like fairly moderate by historical standards up until the 60s. It's just that we've been so poisoned by decades of open borders and propaganda that basic fucking common sense now looks extreme, right? Prioritizing English speakers is extreme. Prioritizing people with skills is extreme. If they share Western values, it's extreme. Don't bring them here. It's insane, dude. It's fucking insane. And the fact that we even have to fight for these small numbers, 60 something there, 58 there, or just if he managed to use the full allotment of, let's just say 7,500, and they're all fully qualified and they will all contribute, while we've already taken millions. We took millions under the Dems, millions of doctors and engineers who will never assimilate, right? Actively fucking hate America, who form ethnic enclaves, and they refused, to integrate. Shows how completely how inverted our policies are. And most of the people that the Dems bring in vote Dem. So it's like, here's the taste of your own medicine. They fucking hate it. It's insane. Yeah. It's just look, for example, look at the immigration assimilation census data, right? It shows, I think I had it here in the notes, 70%. Yeah. 70% unemployment rates years after arrival. They're on welfare at rates 3-4 times higher than Americans. Their children have worse educational outcomes, worse economic outcomes, higher crime rates. These are verifiable facts, and no one wants to talk about them because they're politically incorrect. Not all cultures are equal. It's just in the data. Meanwhile, we know that immigrants from stable English-speaking countries, they integrate immediately, they work at higher rates, they earn more, they're less likely to be on welfare, their children do better in school, they commit less crime. The data is fucking overwhelming. but we're not allowed to act on it. Why? Because it would be considered discrimination. That's bullshit. Fuck that. Discrimination in favor of people who will succeed and contribute is what every sane country does. It's what we should be doing. Trump has the opportunity to make this happen on a scale that could actually matter and could actually change the demographic trajectory of rural America. That could strengthen our agricultural base and our populist movement. That's what I'm saying. Instead, we're getting pilot programs. This is the part that annoys me. And all these small numbers and incremental bullshit. White South Africans are still getting tortured, murdered on their farms. And European dissidents are still getting arrested for fucking tweets. I would consider this an emergency airlift. That's how he should operate this fucking shit. Like frequent wind for people who actually deserve it. We should be seeing tens of thousands of these people per year minimum coming in here, helping America. And I get their political constraints, whatever. But even what Trump's doing now is causing a massive backlash from the left and the establishment GOP too, by the way. They're all in the same fun. They're all the same cocksuckers. So, yeah, that's probably, I would say that's why you need to go bigger and faster right now. You'll get called a racist. You'll get called a white supremacist. And that's barely with these small numbers. Just go all in. Fuck it. All in and bring them all. Make it actually matter then. Fuck it. Because the window for this kind of policy might not be open for long. You got to think about the midterm soon. Maybe 6 years total if Vance wins the election. After that, who knows what's going to happen, right? If Democrats take over, they'll flood the country with fucking the same old usual third world overflow, and we'll never get another chance to do this the right way. And every month, we're moving at this pathetic pace, you know? Every one of these months, it's just another month that these farmers are getting tortured, murdered on their land, all this shit. And we're busy taking people in who never contribute shit. That's all I'm saying. That's not racism, by the way. That's just recognizing reality instead of living in the diversity is our strength fantasy land that got Zimbabwe, for example, destroyed and is currently destroying South Africa right fucking now. So, yes, hashtag snow bunnies for all. I'm fully with it. Bring them. That's the kind of white ass somebody wrote. That's the kind of white avalanche I'm looking for. Like that. Oh, man. Yeah. It's a shame that we're not doing more, honestly. This is the perfect excuse that we could use. That's interesting. I'll watch. Well, I'll go read about that thread later, but guys, apparently there's haters. I got haters. It's been a while since I had a hater video. Let me try to find it. Somebody linked me a really weird channel. I have to find it on the email. We'll watch one video. Let me pull it up. Hold on. Click for Snow Buddy, stayed for Bo's realist commentary. Yeah. Let me play the super chats while I look for this.
Roy Hay $5,741 $6.49. I'm sorry for being rude last time. I'm very stressed. I don't know about aliens, but we've definitely been controlled by Masonic Satanists for millennia based on much soft proof. Kirk was a cultist.
Okay. Appreciate the support. Here we go.
Hey there, folks. Hope you.
I haven't watched this video, but it looks like slop. The channel's called Dark Brandon. Really? That was like the failed leftist meme. Dark Brandon.
Troy Intel $10. We're deep in the fourth turning crisis phase, where old systems collapse. Expect renewal mid-2030s as a new civic order and shared purpose rise from the chaos.
Yes, indeedy. All right. Check this out, boys. So, yeah, it's slop tube. So it's you wouldn't call this a VTuber, right? This is just a faceless channel, slop. Well, it's not faceless. Technically, it's an avatar channel. I guess this is called VTube, right? Is that what it is? Yeah. So I was just looking through my emails. If you guys want to recommend more topics, by the way, things in the news, politics, it doesn't matter. Things that I could do some research on, send that to me. tribeofmen@yahoo. By the way, if you haven't, hold on. If you haven't, boys, support the channel. We don't do products or anything like that. Sponsorships is just whatever you get from the store. It goes support direct. And if you haven't, where's the school? Here it is. Join us on school. So we have a free one here that you could join. I have to accept this membership. And then we have the private community. In the private community, we do the 3 calls a week with you guys. That's when we get into those deep topics. And then the free one is just free. You can get over here and talk to people. He wants advice from his fellow brothers. You see? There you go. Get in here, dude. These are actually the free one at least. Anyways, it's a good place to meet like-minded people and connect and network. There's a map so you can find people that potentially live next to you too. You see? So you can go on the map here. Look, for example, we got 20. Where do you got here, people? You got 7 people in this area. Look at that. Dope. It says pins are off by 10 miles, but regardless, you can find people. Their names will be here. You can click on the names. See? And then you can send them a direct message, whatever. And you can actually meet people. So it's dope. It's a good way to network. And if anything is to go by what our numbers were for the previous Discord, which was like 10,000 plus, this shit is going to blow up. I just have to keep shouting it out because I forget all the time. So, okay, let's go back to this absolute slop. So it says, married red pillar shits all over passport bros. The Dark Brandon podcast.
Hey there, folks. Hope you're doing well today. You know, as we explored the outcome of the election, we started looking at different groups of people who voted for Donald Trump. And one of those groups of people we've been looking at was young men, a group that really turned out for Donald
The email said you've been reacted to by dykes.
Trump. And as we work to understand them, we then dug deeper to understand the problems they're facing and the challenges they're facing today. And with that, we also look to their role models. And that brings us to the video we're looking
You got to use a better AI voiceover, bro. This one is ass. Whoever's running this channel, please.
at today. This comes to us from a YouTuber called Legion of Men. They have 589,000 subscribers. So as we examine these people who are not only role models for young men, but also role models for MAGA, we not only want to understand what
How am I a role model for MAGA? Dude, I go in on Trump all the time. Do these people even watch my channel? I literally get shit from MAGA in my own comment section telling me I got TDS. What the fuck, dude? Literally, when I talk shit about Trump not following through on his campaign promises. He's MAGA. Do you know why they think I'm MAGA? This is why they think. Because I literally have this fucking red hat and it makes all the libs, their heads are exploding. Do you see what the hat says, bitch? It says make masculinity great again. We are not MAGA. Jesus. We're independent. We're politically homeless. I'm true populist. I don't care for teams. That shit is trash. Unbelievable. Let's continue.
they're saying, but also the solutions they're trying to provide. And so all of that brings us to the topic of his video, titled Nuking the Passport Bro Fantasy with the Red Pill. And this is a very interesting video because in the end, what he says is This isn't going to fix your problems. You're still going to have these root cause issues. But let's see if he's actually honest enough to tell them what those root cause issues are. Now, let's hear his intro and we'll add any context that's missing.
God. Welcome back, everybody. Today is going to be a doozy. I wanted to talk about something that's going to probably piss off. A married red pillar? What is that? How the fuck does he have a woman? Half of the men dating overseas, but it needs to be said, I've been getting these questions quite often. Incel. You guys remember some of the they're like, Legion of Incels. Dude. I love this shit. Since I've been overseas, and there's this narrative that's floating around, and this is why it's happening, that if you just become a digital nomad, if you just pack up your laptop, go somewhere like Thailand or Colombia or Bali, that suddenly, for whatever reason, and we all know why, you're going to be swimming in high quality feminine women that aren't corrupted by the Western values, Western feminism, and your dating life is going to be solved forever. At least that's the promise. So...
Okay, so he gave us a lot of information. One is he told us that he himself is a passport bro, that he no longer lives in America. So let's just think about that, right?
I'm not a passport bro. I'm Romanian American by designation. I consider myself American. I brought my parents back to their homeland. I consider it theirs, not mine, so that they can literally retire in peace where they were born and grew up in. That's it. How are you a passport bro going back to where you were born as a baby? Horrible research.
This guy is influencing so many young men, 589,000 of them. And that doesn't even count all the impressions, but he's doing it in a whole other country, spreading these bad morals and values. And not only that, but we see him out of the gate really trying to put feminism in a bad light.
$5,741 $6.49. It's not coincidental that all but one US Prezi is related to King John. Jordan Maxwell spoke about the cult's belief in divine right. Democracy is a lie. The 1% have stated that hell is coming by 2030.
Appreciate you, brother. What the hell?
MLJL, $5. I'm 4 to 11 with autism, muscular dystrophy and a physical disability. How can I get women?
Jesus Christ, bro. Pick a struggle. I don't know. So, you gotta pick a struggle on that one.
Of the red pill. But in reality, feminism is just working for equality, that men and women have the same rights. And you would hope this guy would agree with our definition of feminism. I mean, look at him. He's wearing a wedding ring. So I really want to know.
What they don't know is my woman is more based than I am. I don't think these people understand, dude. I came out here with my extremist views and my woman's like, yeah, and you're not going far enough. You have no idea what the Balkans is like, bro. That liberal shit doesn't exist here. The fuck?
No, did he bring his American wife there or did he find a wife there? Now, also for those just joining us, it does make sense to add a little bit of context about what a red pill is, what a black pill is, what their differentiators are, and then also what a passport bro is. All of these are just different communities. So the red pill community originated from the Matrix metaphor that you see the harsh truth. And it claims that these mainstream views, especially ideas like feminism, just as he said, hide how sex, dating, and
fucking hell, I hate when the voiceover is so shit. Anyways, this is me and the wifey, by the way. Check that out. There you go. Nice. Yep. What it looks like. I'll make it big for you guys. There you go. Ta-da. You see? Very nice. Yes. Balkan snow bunnies. My life is great, bro. Trust me. You think I'm tripping over a fucking Willie from America that can't make a fucking video? Can't find a fucking AI model to enunciate words properly. Thank you, Dark Brandon. I love the free fucking advertising.
Power really work. And their ideas really emphasize on a strategy of self-improvement, but specifically around status, money, fitness, and fame.
Where's
with
the
this
lie?
very competitive transactional view of relationships. So
Okay.
it's not really about working on yourself, understanding your traumas, learning to love yourself.
You see how gay this sounds? So understanding your trauma, learning to love yourself. What do you think working on yourself meant, dodo brain?
So you're able to love other people, or even understanding what a healthy relationship is.
An American talking about what a healthy relationship is. Are you married? Do you have a fucking husband? How's the American divorce rates? How's the marriage rates? Oh, please do tell, professional. American culture today in its current form is what we don't want. That's the entire point of this shit.
How to lift other people up the same way that you want to be lifted up. But worst off, that these ideas and beliefs, by joining these communities, it can lead into misogyny, stereotyping, and manipulative advice.
Brian Ramberg, $9.99.
Thank you, Brian.
Bo, I'm a crane operator in Phoenix. I listen to your channel regularly. Your trajectory has been fun to watch. You made great points today. When you get back to Phoenix, maybe a city council run.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe congressman. Maybe. Senator? I don't know. We'll see.
But even much worse than
Oh yeah, make my POV small. Excuse
that
me.
is, you could slide into more of a black pill community, where it's a more darker, fatalistic offshoot of red pill, where the general belief is that outcomes are fixed by looks, genes, and rigged social hierarchies. And they believe that effort rarely matters, dating and power structures are stacked against them. And if you tell them that's not true and they have a chance and all they have to do is go talk to someone and be a genuine person and treat people with respect, they'll actually attack you. It really leads to hopelessness and echo chambers and often radicalization. And so with a red pill, you can change your outcome, but in reality, the advice they're giving is not going to lead to a healthy relationship or helping you understand how people should be treated or the way that you should expect yourself to be treated. But in
Oh my
that black
God,
pill
bro.
scenario, the belief is that you cannot change your outcome. Out with all that comes the passport bros. A lot
Okay.
of the red pillars that believe that Western feminism has corrupted the minds of women have a belief that women overseas tend to be more feminine with traditional values.
True or not?
Nonetheless, we got you up to speed. Let's see where Legion of Men goes with this.
Women everywhere are hypergamous. Everywhere. They are
Fact.
attracted to resources and to status. That changes, or I should say, that doesn't change no matter where you go. Whether you're
Where's
a
the
foreigner
lie?
in a developing country, a developed country, wherever you go, it doesn't matter. And when you are in these developing countries, you're walking around with a neon sign that says economic opportunity. It's
Bars.
flashing above your head nonstop. You can
Who is
spot
this
you out of the
gangster?
crowd. You don't look like them.
Bars.
You're not going to escape hypergamy. You're just playing it on easy mode where the economic differentials are so large that even average
Isaac,
Western guys can
$5.
compete.
Did this
That
broad do
doesn't
any
mean the women
research
are
at
actually
all?
attracted to you. It just means
What? Did this broad do any research at all? Clearly not, bro. Clearly.
that they're attracted to what you could provide, which again, fine for some, not for others. But the moment you can't provide it at all, the moment your income drops or you lose your job or you run out of money, she's gone, bro. Because the
Gone.
attraction was never real in the first place. It
Bars.
was transactional. And you're just too desperate for female validation to see it.
Get it.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there. And I felt like he was trying to tell them a harsh truth, but really only ended up telling them a half truth. A lot of folks in the red pill community or the passport bro community will often refer to this moment where a woman from a foreign country who traditionally wasn't westernized begins
I can't believe leftists consume this slop, dude. How many views does this have? Hold on. Fuck, we're only halfway there. Okay. 14,000 views. 280 we'll read the comments after this. They're going to be great.
embracing these Western values as you expose them to this better life of having money, and will once again point to either feminism or Western values as the problem that leads to these relationships falling apart. But I mean, what do you think is going to happen? You're moving to a country where you can exploit the opportunity to take advantage of these women. Like, you don't even imagine that there's the possibility you're going to be exploited back while actively exploiting someone else. And you want to know how you avoid all these things? You don't create relationships based on foundations of financial status, but instead on
What's the first thing women in the West ask? How much money does he make? Is he rich? So what the fuck is she even talking about?
two genuine, authentic people having a genuine connection. And that is done through first working on yourself, learning how to love yourself, learning how to navigate life, learning how to treat other people the way
Platitudes.
that you would want to be treated, and then applying all those ideas in a healthy relationship with someone else who has those same expectations as you. You want to know how you communicate those expectations? Through
How?
good communication, a core foundation.
Wow, bro. Wow, dog. Fuck. This is the golden age of knowledge here. You want to know how you communicate those expectations? Through good communication. Thank you so much, dude. The platitudes, I'm like, absolutely, you're dropping nugs on me of knowledge. I'm going to go upstairs and communicate with my woman with good communication. Thank you so much.
Of a healthy relationship. Now,
Wow.
let's see if he gets to any of these ideas as he begins to deconstruct the flaws in these ideas, or let's even see if he does provide any solutions whatsoever.
Someone said, why am I torturing you with it? I have to see the slop. I have to. It's just funny. It's good for the stream.
So be honest with yourself about what you're actually doing and what
Called
you're
accountability.
actually getting. Because there's nothing wrong with leveraging your advantages, I told you, and enjoying a better dating market. But don't confuse that with finding something real or with better options, more options, right? And don't confuse more options as better options. That's a better way to put it, right? Or women that are just nice to you because they could be nice to you because you have money, right? And that doesn't mean she'll stick around once the money disappears. People are nice to you just to get your cash, okay? It doesn't mean she's genuinely nice.
Where's the
I'm
lie?
trying to avoid guys to make the mistake where they'll end up like the stories we heard, where their guys will like figure this out years too late after they already invested emotionally, bought property, built a house for the woman, right? And they invested emotionally and financially deep into a relationship built on a foundation of economic dependency. And it's just disguised as traditional femininity. And by then the bitterness will set in and they'll either double down and trap themselves forever on this delusion, or they come back home realizing they wasted years chasing a fantasy that was never real to begin with.
And so he begins by saying, be honest with yourself of what you're actually doing and what you're actually getting. And so he's so close to say, hey, you're exploiting people and they're exploiting you back. So close, like saying it in other words. But the latter part really feels almost like a black pill rant. So many of these people that he's talking to feel like they have zero opportunities. And this passport bro idea is their Hail Mary, their one last shot. And he's really kind of shitting all over them. And this is a big part of these communities, is to shit on one another, keep them down, keep them in.
What the fuck, bro? This is what the community literally have a video here that came up. It says how men distract themselves with video games and how to use negative imagination for success. We're so shitting on everybody. This is what's wrong with women in these spaces. The truth means you're being shit on. You literally can be honest with the man. Hey, get up off your ass. Stop being fucking lazy. Listen, the world doesn't care about you. No one's coming to save you. That bitch doesn't care. She's after your money. Blah, blah. You can't literally. Women come in the space and start tone pulling. You need to be nicer. You can't say that. You gotta love yourself. Real communication. Shut the fuck up. This is why none of you get any men. Zero. This is why the Democrats never have young male voters ever again after Trump. This is why you guys have lost a bunch of male voters and are struggling to get them back. You are detached from reality. This is the problem. You don't understand what it's like because you refuse to have a conversation with exactly the people that are telling you what's wrong with society. Instead, you brush aside their concerns and tell them it's not real. So through voting, through society, through men pulling back, going their own way or going overseas or just not dealing with Western women. That's actions. And they speak much louder than your fucking platitudes. You're being told what the problem is. They won't listen though, because my feelings, my tone policing. But you can't say that. He's shitting on them. Yeah, bro, shitting. Literally, I'm shitting on you guys by telling you you can do better. You can be better. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Here's how the fuck you make money. Here's all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. How much, if you've been watching the channel, you know we're spitting this all day, every day. Literally, you can read a bunch of emails right now. I can open them. That's guys thanking, saying, dude, thank you for your mentality. You changed my life. Got a new job. Da, da, da. I just dunk. It says Bo dunks on me out any opportunity he gets. I hate the game, not the player. Yeah. It's just men. We're being honest with each other. Because bullshitting and giving fake compliments is what women do. That's not what we do here.
These communities make them feel hopeless.
Like the entire point of the video, I don't know how this creator doesn't get it. The whole point of the video is, hey, be careful when you go overseas. Here's what could happen. I know you're getting fed propaganda and a certain narrative about what life is like overseas. Some of these guys are paying for box. You understand? I'm preparing you and setting expectations so that you don't go over there and get your feelings hurt. Do you know how many people I got and messages from that video saying, thank you so much, bro. I just came back. Everything you said was true. Been here for years. This is exactly how, da, 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 da. Most people will tell you that's exactly what it's like. Thank you. Hey, I'm about to leave in 2 weeks. This video couldn't have come at a better time. Okay.
Have despair. None of the things that lead
No
to
one's despaired.
loving yourself or treating people better or understanding what a healthy relationship is. Let's keep going and see what other advice he has for these folks.
That's just what I wanted to say about this whole passport bro, digital nomad, dating overseas. It's gotten so popular and so cheap to travel that you just save a little bit of money, you go overseas, and the attention, it's overwhelming. You're desperate for some love, from attention. Guys just forget how to act. They start to think with the man downstairs, and you'll get an explosion of videos saying, it's not it, it's a scam, bar girl did this. It's like...
Okay, so there was some advice packaged in there, but it was just a general advice of don't do it, which I agree with, but he doesn't substitute that with anything else. So let's just take a little bit of time to talk about
Like your
the
platitudes?
core foundation ideas that create a healthy relationship that lead to a real connection, not based on a foundation of money or beauty. And the first idea is mutual respect.
Oh
That
my
each
God,
person
bro.
values the other's individuality, opinions, boundaries, and goals. The next idea is something we touched on earlier: honest, open communication. Healthy partners talk with each other, not at each other. Trust and reliability. And trust is built through consistency. Doing what you say you're going to do, showing up when it matters.
All right, bro. Let's go. Comments time. We've seen enough of this shit. Top comments. Come on. Desperate for validation for people that they constantly trash talk. It must royally suck to be MAGA. Again, we're not MAGA. Okay. That's my limit of sympathy for them. Of course, libs have no sympathy. As an older woman who is way past all this insanity, it still amazes me the lengths some men will go. Mental gymnastics they'll perform just to not treat women as people. It's hysterical that openly shitty people are openly looking to exploit others. Wow. So telling you the truth is openly exploiting you. Okay. The infighting is tearing them apart. Nobody's infighting. Okay. Furthermore, I don't want no ninja with an Eastern European accent. What the fuck? Claiming to be I have an accent now? What the fuck? Okay. He's a passport bro. He's a visa bro. This fool is from the Czech Republic. Oh, fuck. What in the world? Okay. I view women as objects, but I require that women view me as a full human being. Well, all right, big dog. Do you see what we're talking about here? Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, egg apron. Come on, more egg whites, less yolks. Come on. Cool it. Fucking, you need to cool it. All right, where the fuck were we? You got an accent, dude. Okay. I've always liked you guys, but at this point, I watch at least one Dark Brandon video a day. You guys do such a good job at keeping it logical and professional. Okay. These guys are such losers. They'll never know true love. He didn't even say true love. He said love and true partnership. This is the dude that sits in the fucking corner chair, the cuck chair. This is why my daughter's fully not interested in focusing on school, not sitting around social media feeling sorry for herself. That's good. Hey, congrats to the daughter. Don't let her on social media. Okay, let her focus on school. That's great. They aren't corrupted by Western women. But if they get fed up with your butt, they will unalive you in your sleep. What the fuck? Okay. Wow, we're killers now. Okay. His entire message sounds like a passport bro who got dumped and is desperately trying to justify it. She dumped me because my economic opportunity status was demoted. Not, she dumped me because I was a jerk. I swear to you, my wife is upstairs watching this laughing right now. I'm telling you. What else? Hold on. We got somebody defending. Actually, what he said was spot on in a number of respects. I spent time in Asia long before the current passport bro craze. And it's true that someone from the USA or the UK will get considerably more attention until they no longer appear to have money. The gap between haves and have-nots is huge for people in the third world. And gaining and sustaining wealth by whatever means necessary is the primary goal for many of the locals. It makes sense. There you go. Fucking based. Thank you, T-Perk. This guy seems to be unable to differentiate between lust and love. Jesus Christ. Resources are all they have to offer. Of course, she will leave you when you no longer provide. You have no other redeeming qualities. Okay. Someone said, yeah, I'm sure that wife will sat with you with no job because you wanted to relax on the couch. Yeah. All things are conditional. Tell them. If you want to disguise it with love to cope, okay. Jesus. What else? These people don't understand math. If every woman thinks you're a piece of shit, maybe you're the common denominator. Okay. Blaming feminism for your own shortcomings is truly pathetic, you guys. Jesus Christ. Where the fuck do these people sprout out of the ground from? He wears sunglasses indoors so you can't see his dead, soulless, red-rimmed eyes. Someone is big mad that a woman expected him to provide after he insisted he only wanted a woman who wanted to be provided for. Huh. Almost like he didn't really want a traditional relationship at all. Fuck, these people are retarded. Literally, my woman cooks for me every day. Made me a nice tea. She said, get off the caffeine, baby. I'm worried about your heart. I want you on a better diet. She told me, no more coffee for I'll make you teas. God damn, toxic traditional women. Ugh. Passport brothers have existed in some form or fashion all throughout America's history. Hatred always consumes itself. Let's see. Any more funny ones? So this dude got divorce raped. He says 3 years ago when I split with my wife, it's like the algorithm knew. It preyed on me so hard. This fucking dude sounds like a victim. It preyed on me so hard to get me to go red pill. You mean like you were just literally, you were clicking red pill videos? Okay. I ended up watching a couple of this dude's videos, and I'd say at least half of what was on his feed was talking about being a passport, bro. This is like watching him realize how stupid he's always sounded while being completely oblivious to the fact that he's doing it. And yet somehow being even more stupid. What an absolute knob. Oh my God, dude. Fucking A. What else? What else? You're wrong. The juice is not worth the squeeze. More mansplaining by someone who's never understood anything in their lifetime. Fuck. I'm getting roasted by Dark Brandon subs. This bro culture has done a lot of damage to American men as a world traveler myself. I see this happening in other countries, albeit on a smaller scale. I avoid them like the plague. They're lost boys. Okay. Legion of Man is a common racist. And I've gotten so sick of bumping up against hardcore racists just because we happen to share the same views about how things should be. Okay. What else? Look at this dude. Built a house for a woman? Sheesh. No shit, bro. That's racist. Oh my God. Oh, look at this one. I've seen a lot of his content have refuted a lot of his white nationalist and supremacist views, a lot of racist as well. Oh, if I'm a white nationalist and that's racism, right? No. So I'm triple racist. I'm a trifecta. I'm a white nationalist, supremacist, and a racist. Great, dude. Learn your terms first. Example, he never reports any white on white killings or shootings, but will report the single black. The single. Oh my God. The single black on white that he sees. Also believes Christianity should be the religion of the US and should be whites only. Fuck, bro. I think there's other worldviews of his that deserve critiquing. That being said, he's actually Romanian American. He was born there and moved here very young. I know he moved to Romania the last year or 2 years back and has been traveling back and forth. He's not a passport bro. So you like half shit on me and half stood up for me. Okay. His whole comment section is full of far right incels. You are all incels, dude. Look at that. Wow. This dude is racist as fuck. Some of his videos are just nasty. He's very racist. What do you expect from a red pillar? Oh my God. Oh, yes, he is. I'm the one that suggested this channel to Dark Brandon, but not this specific video. He essentially believes that Europe should be white only, as well as the US. His comment section is full of far right incels. What the fuck? Okay. Oh, I love it. The interesting thing, or should I say sad thing, is that the same can be said for most of the 98-ish% of the black side of the manosphere. And red pillars are also MAGA Trumpers or fiscal conservatives that voted again and again for Trump against their own culture to support white supremacy. Wow. He's ignorant as fuck. Okay. Legion of incels. Oh, look at this guy. Have you seen his wife? Wouldn't be laughing then. Wow. Appreciate you, brother. Clearly he hasn't. Married red pillar? What? Okay. All right. Is that it? He gives beards a bad name. All right. Not gonna lie, I kind of agree with him. Maybe not the conclusions he came to, but a lot of these passport bros think they have to move to a whole other country to find love is idiotic. Okay. You can tell this guy smells bad. Calm down, Karen. Okay. This is low-key racist. How the fuck was that video racist? What the fuck? Everything is racist to these people. That's crazy. All right. Bro, look at this dude. Passport bros are cringe mostly of the times. Jesus Christ, bro. I would hate to be you. Fuck. God. We got the short end of the stick on this one. All right. Fuck. Brutal. Andres, I feel for you, dog. Good luck. Good luck with life. All right.
Hey there.
What else? Something positive. Yeah, let's end it on something positive. We got this recommendation. Rob, so far, so good. And chat saying, yikes. Took me 4 years to realize what I'll tell you in 10 minutes. Dude, he did it in under 10 minutes. Best life advice. Let's go.
What if I told you I just spent the last 40 years working out where I'm at now? And all those things that you think are important when you're younger, perfect body.
I fucking love boomers, bro. He just set his camera down. That shit is focused in on his wheel. He's got it on a steering wheel, dude. This is sick. Is this like a creative input
The
right
big
here?
house, the perfect job, don't really matter. What really matters is what's going on inside you.
Oh, there you go.
And I'd like to share with you in the next few minutes what I've learned in the last 40 years. You might ask,
Wisdom.
where did this come from? Well, 2 years ago, I had to stop work. I'm medically retired now.
Mm.
And that has given me a lot of time to reflect on my life and where I am today and what is important for me. And I
He's
started
struggling with the
thinking,
camera.
where did the time go? What have I achieved? I've done lots of jobs, from doing snow ski tours to working in bars, to working in off license and waitering, cooking, you name it, teaching art. I've done it. But what has been consistent all through my life has been my artwork, my ability to continue following that dream of mine. Not necessarily being financially successful, but doing something that is important to me, that shows who I am as a character and as a human being. And if I could go back in time and talk to my 18-year-old self, I would say the most important things in life for you is time and your health. In fact, I think I put my health above time, because if you haven't got a healthy life, then that really affects the time and what you can do with that time. And another thing I would suggest is don't drink too much or do drugs, because that is going to take time away from you that is
Facts.
unbelievably destructive, and you're never going to get that back. And the older you get, the faster time seems to go. I mean, I immigrated here to the Netherlands 26 years ago, and I can't believe how quickly that time has gone. I see my 2 children growing up, and I wonder what happened to that youth, that time when they were small. I cherish that moment now, and it went so quickly. It was so quick. I mean, before I shifted here, I spent almost 20 years, 15 years, I suppose, bouncing around, doing odd jobs. But do I regret doing that? No, I don't regret the time I spent doing that. I mean, I didn't have much money, but that didn't seem to bother me so much then. I honestly didn't think I'd get to this age. But the time I've spent jumping from place to place, moving from city to city, it was a wonderful experience when I look back. It was hard. It was fun. It was a bit crazy. But would I change that? No, I don't think I would, because it has made me the person I am today. And if I look back, I don't think I would want to change anything, because it's the experiences I have learned, good and bad, and some very bad, even some that almost took my life. But I think I'm a better person today. And the thing about giving advice to your younger self, who's going to listen to that? You have to go and experience things yourself. You have to make the mistakes yourself. And from that, you grow. And I'm very content for who I am inside as a human being. I live a very modest life. I'm still married, have been married for almost 30 years. I mean, that's an achievement in itself. Learning to compromise in relationships, learning to give and be a partner, be together. And we brought up our 2 wonderful kids. That
Beautiful.
is an achievement in life, and especially in today's standards where there are so many families being separated. Deep down, we want to be fulfilled. We want to have a sense of purpose. And I think the biggest way really for that, to achieve that, is spend it with your family. The older you get, the more you realise that it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter how you look. If you feel proud within yourself and you have self-respect for yourself, that's what's important. And it's such a relief not having to play that game anymore. You know, I'm lucky I have a drive in me to paint, to be an artist. And that keeps me going. That even as I am sick today, and I can look forward to doing something. I have a goal in my life. That is what I want to achieve. And that's what's important. I think we all need to find that purpose. Mine's painting and my family. That's all that matters to me. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm reaching that target. And with my sickness, I don't know how long I will be able to keep on painting.
All right. I mean, it's good advice, but I don't know if I'd consider this groundbreaking stuff. It seems to have resonated with people. Okay. What's going on? What's going on in the world of X? Of course. I'm 60. I regret belittling men at 63. I ended up alone. Close to half of elderly British women live alone. Okay, dude. Of course. Why not? All right. Northwest Alaska evacuating in case you watch mainstream news and don't know what's happening here. What the hell? Hmm. Whoa, this is cool. Okay, it has music. She's got augmented reality glasses on. Oh, it's the Apple. Are those the Apple glasses? No, that's something else. Dude, that's so cool, actually. Wow. That's a great application. What? Okay, that's great. Hmm. What the hell? People are queuing up to buy gold? Physical gold before the bullion reserves have even opened. What is happening? Oh my god, dude. How many of you have bought gold like this? This is insane. Wow. What is the price of gold right now? Gold is currently at 4,236. If that's live. I don't know if that's live. That's crazy. All right. This is fucking X, dude. What the hell? Mass group try entering home, terrorizing homeowners for 12 minutes straight, then flee. What is? Okay.
In his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You
Thoughts
know
on
why?
this?
Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
What? He really
You know
said
why?
that?
Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
No way. Is that real? Is that real? No way that's real. What the fuck?
Christian Tanase $5. Bo, what keeps you going every day consistently? I'm losing my drive and barely still feel like video games, yet alone do something serious consistently.
I have addictive personality. There's no trick. I get addicted to shit. I got addicted to YouTube, and then I'm a creature of habit. So on top of my addictive personality, when I take extreme interest in something, I manage to hold on to it and go 130% deep. This is why I've had this thing, I guess you could say, if you've known me my entire life, I'm able to jump from like thing to thing to thing to thing in my life, whether it's like business or whatever. And I've been very, very successful because hyperfixation. I get so into what I do that I almost achieve, I wouldn't say like a professional level of knowledge or expertise in the thing, but I get so invested, so fixated that I do like deep dives, Yeah, it's like a ADD hyper focus that I become like, okay, for example, take YouTube, for example. When I started with zero knowledge, didn't know how to edit videos, didn't know shit about camera, had no idea about cameras or lights or monitor, anything. And what I ended up doing when I got this little seed in my head of I'm going to be successful at YouTube, and I saw what other people were talking about, and I knew I could do better. I look better. I speak better. I know more about the topic. So I was like, I'm going to do this too. I started researching hours, bro, 10 plus hours a day. I live on the computer nonstop. I'm addicted. I'm finding out what camera I need, what lens I need, why this camera is good, what lights are good, the best lights, why it makes them the best lights, the monitors I need, the cables, what's the computer, how do you edit a video, what's the program you use to edit, how to edit with the program. I'm watching deep dives like, you know, how to edit with DaVinci, how to edit with Final Cut, all this shit. Whatever I put my mind to, I become so obsessed with that thing that I quickly become I guess you could say an expert in it. And I'm able to operate at a level where it becomes, focus. I'm able to operate at a level where it becomes realistic for me to succeed. Like I get into the top percentile of success for whatever medium I get into. It was the same with day trading. I got fucking addicted. I lived on that shit. I'm using DaVinci right now. I moved away from Final Cut because Apple basically gave up on the program. They don't update it anymore. And yeah, pretty much it. Pretty much. I like DaVinci a lot better. When it says, I'm 28, female, married my husband, 28M, 4 years ago. Now I love, oh my Lord, someone more than him. My husband and I have been together for 12 years, married for 4 years. We were each other's first love. Wow, we were each other's first love. And we love each other very much. But I've been in a relationship with this, what? I've been in a relationship with a new guy for a year now. And I think I love him more than my husband. I've been spending all of my husband's money. This can't be real. By giving him gift cards and new clothes, but he threw them away after a few days. No fucking way. Oh, he's 1M. Good one, good one. That was a good one. They got me there. They had us in the first half. If you don't understand, 1M is she's got a 1-year-old boy. Oh my Lord. 19-year-old Barron Trump reportedly now has an estimated net worth of 150 billion. So he was the one that traded crypto then. We are correct. Okay. Dude, it pays. It fucking pays to be connected. Holy shit. Can you imagine? You're worth $150 million because you know when dad is about to tweet up a storm and you just position yourself in crypto and it's completely legal. Wow, dude. Wow. Wow. Yeah, we'll get into this. I'll have to find some more stuff to cover on X. That's interesting. We got to call it a night. I got to go upstairs and eat some fresh food. Yeah. Anyways, appreciate you boys for tuning in as usual. We're gonna have to call it a night. Let's put this gangster song. Do you guys remember this song, dude? What a classic. Let me put this on. You guys remember that? Will Lance walk over Copper? I don't know. A good one. Anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in as usual. We do streams Monday through Friday. I missed yesterday. If you have topics you want me to cover or you're doing your own research and you want me to maybe cover it, and send me that stuff, please. I get a lot of ideas from you guys too, and a lot of, you know, headlines. It helps when you got basically for free, thank you so much, a team of people that is like, cover this, dude, look at this, and I've been looking into this, and I get like 10 different emails with different sources. So play the NPC music. Okay, 1 second. You missed the NPC music, don't you? Let me find that one. I don't have my soundboard ready. Here it is. Yes, dude, this one's OG. Yeah, email tribeofmen@yahoo.com. If you haven't, guys, join the private community. Let me put it up here for you. Oh, I have to keep hitting play. I'll put the free community up. Listen, join the community. Hang out with everybody. Oh, the song ended. Okay. I really have to put that on the soundboard. There you go. Can't see this shit. Pin message. My mic is in the way. There you go. What else? I have the Pagani BC one. I have all of them. It's just that they don't fit on the little soundboard I have. Thank you for tuning in, bro. So yeah, tribeofmen@yahoo. Thank you everybody that's been getting the hats, the mugs, all that stuff. It helps. And we'll see everybody on Monday. If you join the private community, we do calls 3 times a week. I have it set right now. 4 p.m. Eastern time is when the calls are, if you're able to make them. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday is what they're set for. Love to have you. We always cover topics or just go open forum afterwards. And a ton of people signed up from the last stream. If you wanted to learn how to start a faceless YouTube channel, we did cover it. I recommend go watch the live stream and find that section. And I have like 4 videos at like 50 minutes each almost. Explains exactly how to do it if you want to get into the private community, and then post your own videos, and I can rate what you've done, the work you've done, if you'd like me to. And maybe help you launch your own faceless channel. So, and if your content is good, I forgot to mention this, by the way, for those that are still here. If your faceless channel content is good, I will react to it, by the way. So if you got a video that gets hundreds of thousands of views, it's doing really good and trending, and that means it's good and it's, you know, good for the channel, I'll react to your shit and push it. So yeah, I guess an added benefit. It just depends in what niche you're going to do your faceless video. But honestly, I cover so many niches, of course, political and all this other stuff. But yeah. So appreciate the boys that have signed up to that one, of course. Looking forward to talking to all the new faces on Monday. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you like the, you know, long monologue topics on the state of affairs for the world. Where's this at? Take care, everybody. Signing out.